Hello, Beatrice. Here is your sewer scope from today's inspection. That's me jammed in that utility closet on the main floor. There's the clean out access point into the main line. White PVC pipe, polyvinyl chloride pipe. Very typical starting pipe in many newer construction homes. You'll see on the connections there'll be purple staining. That's primer that they put on as they're gluing up the pipe. It's a good thing to see because you know that they've properly glued the pipe. That's an inlet. It's an entry point for another spot in the pipe that water or waste can come in. Like we talked about today, there's a fairly decent number of twists and turns. That was in kind of an aggressive back and forth twist. In townhomes, cul-de-sacs, and sometimes when houses are just kind of tightly packed together, sometimes when they're installing the pipe, they have to route around different things, other utilities, other pipes, things like that. So there's a fairly decent number of changes of direction. It's not necessarily a defect. It is kind of what it is. From a home inspector's perspective, or somebody who does sewer scopes, it just makes it challenging to push the camera. You got to think that you start going out over 100 feet, and you've got a relatively thick cable. Mine's about 3/8 of an inch, and it's stiff and rigid. It becomes a bit of a challenge. There's a pause in the action here because I've just gotten up, climbed out of the closet to turn some water on. That'll help kind of lubricate the line and allow me to push the cable through a little bit easier. It was definitely a workout to get it going, both there and on the return trip. But we were successful. New construction, in my mind, it's still a good idea to get a sewer scope done. And it's been my experience over the years in doing this that sometimes there are tradespeople that will dump things down a drain. Instead of walking out to the dumpster, there'll be a load of aggregate or drywall compound or whatever that gets tossed down the drain. Generally not a good thing. I've seen rags before down there kind of stuck or hung up. So we don't have to worry about that here. The other benefit, besides helping me to push the camera through running some water, it's nice because it'll show any low spots in the pipe. If the pipe wasn't laid properly, bedded properly, then it'll show that. Here's a transition. The greenish pipe is called SDR. It's another plastic pipe. Very common. Likely this is the point where we've reached the city street. You can maybe get an idea that we are kind of moving out of a relatively stiff or steep drop. Everything's flowing through really nicely here. It's going to start to get a little bit more challenging here. Again, we're over 100 feet. We've got another, maybe about 15 feet to go before we reach the end. So I'll slow down a little bit here just because of the difficulty of pushing this along. This is going to be the city connection right here. Dropping it right to that. See the water flowing across down there. I don't want to drop it in there. Sometimes it's difficult to get the camera head back out. And again, because of the challenges of the pipe, the twists and turns, it would be even more difficult to get it to pull back. So here we are, roughly 124 feet out to the city connection. Everything looks good. Please read through the written reports, and as always, reach out to me with any questions or if I could be of service. I'm going to keep the camera rolling on the way back if you want to watch the return trip as well.